WVTC Radio Detroit. You can find us on Facebook, YouTube, X, and our website, www.wvtcdetroit.com, or download our WVTC app from the Play Store for Android users and the App Store for iPhone users. Thank you for tuning to WVTC Radio Detroit and the Community Bell Show with your host, former Wayne County Commissioner, Edna Bell. Stay tuned for insightful information Detroiters will find valuable. Text a friend and tell them to watch with you for news you can use. And now, your host, Edna Bell.
Hello, hello, hello. It's Monday afternoon at 4 o'clock, so it must be the Community Bell Show. Welcome again to the Community Bell Show. We are always glad to have you with us. We've got lots and lots of stuff to talk about today. As all of you know, tomorrow is Election Day. Tomorrow is Election Day, but we've got things to talk about today, and we've got lots of guests, so I'm going to just bring you on one by one. Mr. Ken Scott, are you there? All right, Ken Scott. Ken has something he wants to say to you about an event that he's involved with. Ken?
Absolutely. Thank you for having me on. Saturday, August 10th, from 10 to 3 at the Wayne County Community College Northwest Campus, the Denise Wellens Glover Campus Welcome Center. We're going to have Home Buyers Day for the city of Detroit. Home Buyers Day for the city of Detroit. For all those that want to purchase homes within the city of Detroit regarding the $25,000 down payment assistance program, you need to be in the house that day between 10 and 3 at Wayne County Community College Northwest Campus. What we want to do is go over the mortgage process, go over the down payment assistance programs, and go over the underwriting guidelines that can help you attain home ownership and attain it more affordably. We're going to have a number of banks there and a credit union there to answer any questions that you may have. Everyone's situation is different as it relates to getting pre-approved and what have you, as it relates to the credit, the debt to income ratio, how many people in a household, where do you want to buy, whatever the case may be. We're answering all those questions for you.
Okay, excellent. And I wanted Ken to come on to say that today because he's normally on the second Monday, but because his home buyer seminar is taking place this coming Saturday, I wanted people to hear from him to let them know. Go out there. If you want to buy a home, go listen to what's going on. The city of Detroit has wonderful programs, and this particular program, brand new, $25,000 home assistance buying program. So if you're interested in buying a home, go to that seminar, hear what you need to do so you can get started early to get your credit in shape, to get your savings in shape, and get all those things ready. So by this time next year, you can buy that house. Ken, thank you so much. We appreciate you.
Thank you, Edna. And let me say one last thing.
Okay.
Thanks to Luther Keith, Executive Director of Arise Detroit. We are doing this in conjunction with them.
Okay, Arise Detroit. We all know Luther Keith. Luther Badman Keith, the blues man.
All right, thanks again.
You're welcome. Give Luther my best. Have a great one.
I definitely will.
All righty. Thank you so much, Ken. Our guest, one of our guests, the first one you'll hear from now, is our own Sheriff Raphael Washington. I want you to listen to our good old sheriff. The sheriff is always willing to come on to talk about things and to give us information. Are you ready? Are you ready, Sheriff? Can you hear us? If the sheriff is having technical difficulty? Okay, there you are. Are you there, Sheriff? My buddy. Hey, Sheriff. How are you? We can't hear you. No? He really is having technical difficulties. That's unusual. The sheriff is usually right on it. You know. Well, while you're fixing that, I'm going to have our next guest come on and talk. So Mary, are you there? The Honorable Mary Waters, City Council, Detroit, City of Detroit.
All
Mary,
right.
Yeah,
I am right here. Thank you so much.
I'm so glad you could join us. And see, she's got on wonderful red too. The ladies in red with gray hair. You know, we're special. We are special. Thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. We are honored to have you with us, the Honorable Mary Waters, Detroit City Council member at large. And at large means the entire city, everybody. It's not a district, it's the entire city. So Mary, talk to us.
All right. Well, first thing I want to say is that I did get to hear what Ken Scott had to say, and I'd just like to share with you all that is part of the $203 million housing initiative that I was the architect of. Born out of that was up to $25,000 down payment assistance for first-time home buyers. In addition to that, out of that housing initiative came a dedicated call center for all of your housing initiatives. So I'm happy that
that's important. Say that again. A dedicated call center. Say that again, Mary. Talk about that.
Yes, a dedicated call center, one-stop shop. You would call 1-866-313-2520 for all of your housing needs. And I thought that was very important because sometimes when people are looking for a place to live, especially if they've gone through an eviction, they get frustrated. Sometimes they rather go and sleep in their car than to be transferred time and time again. And so I was able to work with the mayor to make sure that we got a dedicated call center, and it is working tremendously.
That is
Um,
so important, and
yes, I
that's a
also
great thing for our citizens to have one place to go to get those questions answered for your
yeah,
housing needs. That's
and
important.
yeah, so extremely important. In addition to that, I've done tennis rights commission for people who, sometimes people rent out places and they don't quite understand their lease, what they're signing, and so forth, and other issues that they might have. They can come to see a fully staffed tennis rights commission. There will be 9 members on that commission,
Oh,
and they will have a full staff. And even currently, people are submitting names because city council will appoint 4, the mayor will appoint 4, and then there's one joint appointment that we will do. And so I'm excited about the first tennis rights commission for the city ever. I was happy to be the sponsor of that. I recently introduced an ordinance. It's a compliance ordinance. You know, people have to have places to live in that are decent and are safe. We
yes,
want, yes. And I'm gonna tell you what the driving force for me was that. Remember the 11-month-old baby Kamaya Davis who fell through a hole in the floor to the basement, died in water and feces?
yes, yes.
No child should ever have to die like that again. That means if you're renting out your homes or whatever you're renting out, make sure that people have a decent, safe place to live in. Otherwise,
Exactly.
people will have an opportunity to put their money in escrow until you make such repairs. Um,
Exactly.
yeah, absolutely. So I started a young entrepreneurs program. Um, also started a veterans department. We're looking to fully fund that, and I am hoping that all of these programs that I'm putting in place, and I just named a few of them, that there will be an opportunity for me as your next congressperson in the 13th congressional district to make sure that I bring the resources home to help fund them.
That's important.
Tomorrow is election day. I'm asking people for an opportunity to represent them in Congress in the 13th congressional district. I have been a faithful public servant. I I I know
For
what it
years.
means.
I think some people don't know. You didn't just come on the scene.
Right.
You were working even before you were elected.
That's
So
right.
you've
Even
been on
before
the
I was
scene long.
elected.
Mhm.
Right. And as a former state representative too, and the first African American female floor leader in the history of the Michigan House of Reps, I never missed one single day when I was there in Lansing for the 6 years until I was term limited. So I've serviced the people, and I've been faithful, um, without any blemishes on my record as a public servant. And
Yes.
sometimes people listen to a lot of hype and they forget about who you really are. And I just want to remind them that I'm that person who fights for them, who goes to work for them, who cares. And sometimes we forget that when we listen to uh, TV ads and radio ads that have been distorted, misinformation in many instances. I say, if you have a question for me, Mary Waters, ask me. Don't believe everything that
And
you
they
see.
should know not to believe what they see on these TV ads. They should
Yeah,
know that.
yeah,
Look at the other man, the Trump guy, all the lies that they're telling. Just because it isn't Trump telling a lie doesn't mean it's not a lie. Other
yeah,
folks are lying.
and a lie doesn't care who tell it, right?
Yeah, exactly. Other
It,
folks are lying too.
and I want to remind people too that if I had done the things that are being portrayed on TV, I wouldn't even be able to serve on city council. Oh,
Exactly. I don't think people understand that you just can't do some of those things and be an elected official. You
yeah, you can.
can't.
Right. So I just wanted to point that out because it has been a very painful time having to see all of that stuff, those ads day in and day out, all day, all night long. But I wanted an opportunity, and I thank you for this opportunity to connect with your audience, to point some of those things out to them. Tomorrow's election day.
Yes.
I've been that public servant, a soldier on behalf of the people, and I want people to go out tomorrow and vote like they've never voted before in a primary. People don't think primaries are important because, see, you've got a great public servant in me, but if you don't go out and vote for me on tomorrow, you might have somebody else. You might get that other person in there again who doesn't care as much as I do. So I just want them to go to the polls tomorrow, anywhere between 7 a.m. and 8 p.m., and cast that vote. I would really and sincerely appreciate that. Give me the opportunity to be your advocate in Washington, D.C.
Thank you so much, Mary. Uh, People, please go vote and vote for somebody who looks like you. Vote for somebody who has worked for you many, many years, who knows the issues, who lives in your community, who didn't just move into your community, who has lived in this community for many, many, many years. So do what you know is right. Do what you know is right. We Silver Fox ladies are real special. And
Yes, and
we've
we
been
are
around long
committed.
enough to do some things and to know some things. Trust us when we tell you.
Yes, that's right. That's right. Trust us that we care and that we will do our very best.
Absolutely. Mary, thank you so much. And I certainly appreciate I know how busy it is the day before an election. I just appreciate you so much for coming on and taking the time to talk to our viewers. And you probably know that WVTC Radio is a Stellar Award winning station. We've run Stellar Awards 2 years. And
Oh,
this third year, we didn't win, but we came in number 4. So, no, number 3. So we're
wonderful.
still in the mix. So congratulations to WVTC's Radio Detroit Stellar Award winning show owned by a Black woman. So we salute her and we salute you, Mary, also as well. Thank you so much. Go back to work. I know that's what you got to do, but I thank you for taking the time out to be on the show today.
All right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay.
Take care.
All right.
Sheriff, he said he was in the backstage. He said you're in the backstage mode? Can you hear us? He said he can't hear us. Come off mute. Are you on mute? Okay. I still can't hear you. Can you hear me? You can hear me. I just can't hear you. Okay. Tell you what. Tell Rashad to go out and come back in. Okay. And while they're fixing that technical difficulty, I want you to know that tomorrow is election day, and it is just so important that we vote. It's important for everybody in the state to vote, all around the state. But because I live in Detroit, I want to tell you that Detroit has voted in the last primary election. 16% of Detroiters voted in that election. 16%. That is sad. It's criminal. 16% of the electorate in Detroit voted. Don't do that this year. Get out and vote. They say it may rain some, but that's okay. Take an umbrella. Wear a hat. Put some boots on. But go to the polls. Go to the polls and vote. You don't know how important it is. When people see that you are voting, they pay attention. They really do pay attention. And so when you call someone from an area that has voted, and they will know how you voted, not how you particularly voted, but how your area voted, they will know. And you need to be answered in a quick and fast manner. If they look up and see that you are from an area that didn't vote, that 16% of you voted, how do you think they're going to react? Because the first thing they're going to say, well, if you didn't vote, you don't have a right to say anything. If you didn't vote, that means you really don't care. And so you don't have a right to complain about anything. Don't make that mistake. Go out and vote. And if you are young, have young people in the house, go vote. Go vote. And Adam, are you there? Adam's going to talk about voting a little bit. Adam Hollier.
Yep, I'm here.
My
Can you hear
young
me?
man. How are you?
I'm
Welcome.
excellent. How are you doing?
Welcome back to the WVTC show and the Community Bell show. We are glad to have you. You
Always good
have
to
a
be
new
here.
initiative, I understand, that you're working
Yes.
on. Talk to
So
us about it.
to the point that you were absolutely making, when people think about voting and think about neighborhoods, we aren't thinking about the power we have. We spend a lot of time complaining about what did or didn't happen under somebody's watch, but we're missing our opportunity to be heard. And I think that there is a lot of space and time over these next 90 some days to make a big difference in November. And especially as we look forward to tomorrow, right? We have, for the first time, have 9 days of early voting, so people can go out and vote today. You can drop off your absentee ballot and run it through the tabulator, something you've never been able to do in an August primary. And people can go and show up. And tomorrow, they can also still do same-day registration. So it has never been easier to vote here in Michigan, and our numbers are still astronomically low. It's important for us to recognize that every race that makes a difference in our lives is determined not by the people who show up, by the people who haven't. And that is them saying that they are comfortable with whoever wins. And I think living in the community that we do, there are a lot of people who are not comfortable or not happy with the results, but they are not being included and they are not counted. And so what we're asking folks to do is to get 10 people to go out and vote and make sure that we do that. And so we are helping log those things. It's something that people call relational voting and organizing, right? We have not been in a space where people actually organize. We've seen really big successes in Georgia, and that has made a big difference, but it's also going to make the difference in November.
It will make a huge difference. Now, you said something that people can register and vote on the same day. Talk to people about that, because I think some people think that if I'm not registered, I can't vote. Tell them what that happens when they go in to vote and they think they're not registered.
Yeah, so this is a really important issue, particularly in a community like Detroit where people move around. And so 4 years ago, let's say you went in to vote and you were at the wrong precinct. They would just give you a provisional ballot, which was likely going to result in your vote not being counted. But today you could go in and say, hey, I live right here. I live across the street. And they could get you registered to vote that same day, and you could go down and vote. You can do that at the city clerk's office in whatever community that you live in, and you could vote in person at the clerk's office. So if you weren't sure, where you're registered, or if you had just moved or you haven't, you could go down in Detroit to the city clerk's office on the boulevard and go register and vote on the same day. All you need is some kind of proof that you are who you are and that you have a residence. So you don't need a license. You don't need an ID. You could take your utility bill or any other kind of bill that says you live at that location. If you are homeless or you don't have a permanent address, you're also able to vote. You just have to sign an affidavit saying you are who you say you are and where you live. It has never been easier, and we got to do what we can to make it easier for folks to do and to bring people along. When we think about folks who aren't voting, we often think that that's some other people, but that's your son, your daughter, your nephew, person you go to church,
neighbor, your cousin, all those folks that you say, oh, I'm sure they voted. They probably didn't. Take them to the polls. Just take them. Just take them. It is so important.
The numbers show that only about 2 in 8 people are actually voting in a primary. And so we absolutely should be turning folks out. It makes a big difference.
Huge.
And that's what we're going to do.
Yes. And I just believe that they're going to show up. A lot of the young people who have just graduated from high school and turned 18 are registered and will be voting. And, we took a lot of my grandson's friends and made sure they were registered. And some of them, they did early voting. We took pictures of them at their first time they actually voted. So make a big deal out of it. Make it an important occasion, because it is, all these things we just did for these graduations. And it seems that these graduations were endless. I remember when my kids graduated, they graduated and we had a little dinner and that was it. These graduations go on and on and on. And they're at this open house and that open house and this event. Oh my goodness. So for all that stuff we did when they were graduating, add voting to the list. Make sure they're registered and make sure that they vote before they leave for college.
18 to 24 is the smallest voting demographic, and there are tons and tons of folks there. They are excited, they're motivated, and they're engaged. They just haven't been voting. And the way that we fix that is by making it easy and getting them to the polls, right? And before, you used to have to get people to the polls. Now we just need to make sure that folks get their absentee ballot application, right? And that they turn that in, that they do those kind of things. You have 9 days to vote before the election, and today is still one of those days, so people can still go vote today.
Thank you, Adam. I'm so glad you are involved with this initiative. It is so very, very important that we let people know that they don't have to show up with a picture ID and all of that to vote. Just have something that says your name and where you live, and you can sign an affidavit. If you don't have that says, yes, I'm Mary Jane and I live at 1234 First Street, can I vote? And yes, you can.
And the NAACP, the Michigan Democratic Party, the League of Conservation Folks, there's a bunch of folks and organizations that have hotlines and things on election day if you're having any issues. So there are lots of ways to make sure that folks are able to get counted and to get their vote in. But we absolutely got to make it happen. Donald Trump won Michigan by 10,000 votes 8 years ago.
Yes.
So we're very committed to getting 10,000 people to make sure that we have some cushion. It's not going to happen.
Absolutely. We will carry Michigan for our new president, Madam Kamala Harris. That's what we're going to do. And she'll be in town on Wednesday. And so we're going to fill that stadium up and make sure that people know who she is and whose she is and how important it is that they support her. So we're glad.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much, Adam. I appreciate you coming on. I appreciate it. Take care. Thank you. And tell Lily I said hi. Lily says, "Dog, she's a sweetheart." That's my girl. You know, voting, I just don't think people understand how important it is. It is so important. Let's just do it. We can do this. We can do this. And I think our sheriff has gotten all of their technical difficulties taken care of. And now we're going to hear from the man of the hour, the Honorable Raphael Washington, Sheriff of Wayne County, the largest county in the state of Michigan, the 17th largest county in the country. So when we talk about Wayne County, we're not talking about little bitty peoples. We're talking about big time peoples, the 17th largest county in the nation. That's saying something. And we have our own Sheriff Raphael Washington. Hello, Sheriff. I love this. And no, I can't hear you, so I'm just going to talk. I'm just going to talk because I know you. And so I'm going to talk some more. And I'm just going to tell everybody that my sheriff is running for election. So when you see his name on the ballot, tomorrow, please vote for him. He really is the best person to vote for. He has done a phenomenal job in terms of keeping Wayne County safe and working with other police agencies to do that. He is about to move into the new criminal justice facility that's located over on I-75 and Warren. And it is quite an incredible facility. And it brings all of the justice facilities, all the justice parts together, because you'll have the courts right there. You'll have the jail there. You'll have the county clerk's office will have locations there, because for what you don't know, the county clerk is responsible for many of those clerks that are in those courtrooms. So it will have all of the things in one spot to help facilitate whatever you need in the legal arena. Now, there will be parking, free parking for employees. I know employees are really, really happy about that, because you may not know that when everything was downtown, they had to pay to park. Well, there will be free parking for employees at the new criminal justice facility. And it really is quite a really wonderful new facility. The jail downtown was very, very, very old. I don't even know if they had enough old equipment that could fix it. They had to gerrymander stuff to try and make it work, because it was so old they couldn't get parts for much of the items that were in that jail. So I know that the employees are really happy that they're going to be moving to a new facility. And our sheriff can talk about that facility a lot better than I can. And I'm sure that he can talk about it, and will be glad to give tours when the time is right. The sheriff has been very much involved in our community. There's our sheriff. Hello there.
Hello?
Hey, Sheriff.
Finally,
Talk to us. I love you.
finally,
Yes.
I'm good. It kept saying that you all had me backstage,
Oh,
so you couldn't hear me.
Oh no, you were backstage when we could hear you. Oh, we
But
wanted
I
to hear
could, you all
you.
couldn't hear me. I
We
don't know
couldn't
what
hear you.
y'all. Yeah.
Well, welcome, Sheriff Raphael Washington. Welcome to the Community Bell Show again. This is Old Home Week for you.
Yes, it is.
You've been here often, and we are so appreciative of you taking the time to talk to our audience and to talk about what's going on in the Sheriff's Department. The one thing I want you to talk about is the Criminal Justice Facility. When's it going to be open?
Sure. So we're moving in on our administration office is moving in on the 14th and 15th of this month.
Oh, wow.
And then the other entities will be moving in. That we don't talk about when our resident population will be moved in for security reasons.
Absolutely.
We're going to have to move them from one to another, and we don't want people to you know.
Yes.
But
we don't want a caravan following the wagons.
Exactly. But I can say this: the facility will be open to the public and running full speed and operational the day after Labor Day.
Oh, wonderful.
Everything will be in place. We would have all been moved, and everything will be will operate in the manner that we've been looking forward to operating. And footprint, one brand new adult jail, so that we can treat our population, our resident population, with the dignity and quality care that they still deserve.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, are you going to provide tours for folk before it opens?
So I'm hearing there may be some, we're moving, and there's a lot of entities have to move, and we all been given dates. So I don't know that it's going to be before it opens, but I heard that there's going to be an opportunity for the community at some point soon after it opens fully to everyone.
Very good. Excellent. Well, what's new in the Sheriff's Department?
So what's new is that we're it's not new, but it's in a new place now. We're still recruiting, still have a robust recruiting effort going, and we just had one of the largest classes that we've had. We graduated. They tell me in a long time, way before I got back here, before I came in 2009. This is one of the largest classes. So we're happy about that. That means that our recruiting efforts are working. I told everybody in my staff, everybody's a recruiter. We're all recruiting. I bring one or two people into our recruiting class, into our jailers training class. Once they passed all the processes, I bring one or two in every time we have a class. And if I can do that, because I'm out here recruiting as well, then my staff can do it. Absolutely. I recruit every single place I go, and I'm being the sheriff and being out here doing the work in the community, and they say that I'm doing a great job, which I am. They recognize me now, and so they say, "Listen, you're doing a great job. Keep up the good work." And that's my end at that point, to say, "Hey, you got people that you know anybody interested in law enforcement? You know anybody that's looking for jobs?" And we can flip that, even if they're not that interested. They say, "Okay, I need a job." Once they go through our training and they get into our agency, I know we can flip their whole mindset, and now it becomes a career.
Absolutely. And tell them the benefits of becoming a sheriff.
So the benefits are that we're compatible now with any other law enforcement agency in our area as it relates to salaries.
And what is that salary?
That salary starts at $50,000. But while we're doing some recruitment, and we're still getting our numbers up to where we are, you're going to be asked to work a little overtime. You only need to be 18 years old with a GED, a high school diploma. We're going to train you from that point on, minimum law enforcement contact. You're going to be asked to work a little overtime. If you're 18 years old, 20 years old, 25 years old, and still trying to figure it out, we have jobs for you. And with that overtime, you're going to be making upwards to $60,000 plus.
What 18, 19, 20-year-old is going to make that kind of money in a profession that will give you some dignity, lets you work with people, lets you show how you can work with people? I just say they need to do it. They need to try it out.
It's going to let you be the grown person that you want to be now. And I always I told my young sons when they were young, they're good and grown and gone and doing very well now. I used to tell them, you'll never really be grown in my house. You know,
That's right.
you,
Because it's always my house.
it's my house. You want to be
Mhm.
independent. You want to, and I want you to be independent and
Yes,
have your families and all, and they do. But they heard me say that because I don't want them to get comfortable as a grown person
that's
and
right.
think that this
Don't
is
get comfortable in my house.
no,
Don't get comfortable in your
you
house.
sure can't get that 1 or 2 in the morning. You can't, you know, and so that's what we tell our young people. Come in, and some of them are disenchanted with the things that they've seen us get wrong in law enforcement, and we
Mhm.
don't hide from that. We've gotten some things wrong. So,
And what they can do is come in and help us.
be the change that
Be
you
the
want.
change agent.
Yeah,
Yes.
be the change you want to see. I promise you, if you come in and work from the inside and not just be on the outside complaining and hesitant, come on the inside and be that officer that you know you would like to see, you're on the right track.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Sheriff, we're a little bit late talking about this particular item, but boating
Mhm.
and what the sheriff's department does on the waters, because
Yeah.
it's people are getting the boats and they're drinking and they're having big fun.
Yeah.
And something happens, somebody goes overboard. But talk about what the sheriff's office does as it relates to those people who are boating.
Yeah, so we're at waterways, making sure that everyone's safe for the first thing,
Mhm.
because we want you to have a time out on the waterways, a good time. We want you to have your families out if you're a boater. We want you to be careful because things can go wrong suddenly if you're out enjoying a little something that you like to drink, little beverage that you have to be very careful if it's a beverage that can take your mindset someplace else somewhere.
Mhm. And
And
make sure you're not the driver
yeah,
if you want a little beverage. Make sure let somebody else drive.
somebody else need to know that. Someone asks, they always ask, is there a limit when you're driving? And we tell them there is not, but you should be very responsible while
Yeah.
you're on waterways and driving. And if we determine that you're not, we're going to have to take you out of that position and not be able to operate that boat while you're intoxicated or slightly even intoxicated. There's other people out on the road on the waterways, and you need to be safe and responsible as a boater.
Absolutely, absolutely. I just wanted people to know that the sheriffs also man the waterways.
We're in
They
full
take
force.
care. Yes, and you need to make sure that you're doing the right thing on the waterways, so that when the sheriff comes up and he
Yeah.
sees something going on with your boat, doing all sorts of crazy things,
Yeah.
he could very well come up and help you off your boat.
And we simply can just pull you over on the waterways just to jump on your boat and make sure everything's in order. Make sure you have a working vest in your on your boat for everyone that's on your boat. Making sure that everything is in order, just to make a quick inspection, because we want you, again, it's only because we want you to be safe.
Yes.
Yes.
And that life vest is like your seatbelt on your car. The rule is you have to wear a seatbelt. You have to wear the life vest when you're on the boat
Everyone
to
should have.
save your life and other people's lives.
Exactly. So we often see where someone has gone overboard or something that's happened, and someone else has to jump over and try to save them. You end up having sometimes 2 fatalities, or
Yes.
even the one that went in to help. It ends up in trouble themselves. So I think we can fix that by just making sure that we have that life jacket available. It might not look too cool on you, but we're not trying to be cool when we're trying to save lives.
Exactly. We're trying to stay alive.
Stay alive. Exactly.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Well, as we talk about our new recruits, I'm
Mhm.
just so happy that we have a large class of new recruits.
Yes.
Um, when they come out of the training,
Mhm.
are they paired with a seasoned officer?
Absolutely. They come out of training equipped, because while they're training, we still run them. We put them in our jail settings. let them learn the do's and don'ts and the things that they must do while they're protecting and serving those in our custody. But when they even graduate, we definitely have them with seasoned officers who know the ropes as well, that can continue to watch over them and guide them in the manner that we want them to guide them based on what they've been taught. And that's important. Not that you've been here 25 years and no, you don't have to do it this way. No, they do it exactly the way they were taught.
Exactly.
And so we emphasize that and make sure that they're with seasoned officers who want to see them succeed just like they've been able to succeed.
And that is so important. Training is the bottom line to making sure you have a successful officer who's respectful of the community, but also is doing his job to keep the community safe. That's when you can marry those two things, and you've got a real good deal going on.
That's absolutely correct.
Absolutely. So now we've got all sorts of things coming up. For instance, the president, I'm going to call her President-elect, Vice President Harris will be in town on Wednesday. Does the Sheriff's Department get involved with the Secret Service and the local police and all of that when a dignitary of that nature comes to town?
Absolutely. Absolutely. You know, we all, especially when we come into Detroit, we're making sure we have all hands on deck. Detroit Police Department, we're working with the Detroit Police Department, working with the Secret Service. We're working with our partners even around the area outside of Detroit, the suburban departments if need be. So yes, we do that together because we always say we're stronger together. We can get it done together. We're all short of manpower. Everybody's hot. So when the president comes to town, Kamala Harris, did I say that?
That's okay.
But
It's okay.
I don't know if that was a mistake or not. I don't know. But
That's right.
When she comes to town, we're going to make sure that we have all hands on deck and that she's safe while here, just as we would do with any dignitary that comes to town, whether they're the president, former presidents, or whatever. We're going to make sure that not on our watch that things don't happen.
Yes, and and when I think about what happened, was it in Pennsylvania?
Oh yes,
that's we've got some sick people out there.
We do.
We've got some very, very sick people out there that we always have to be on guard to make sure that not only the principal is safe, but the people around, people who are attending the events are safe.
Because we lost one that was attending the event.
Yes.
And a former firefighter, a firefighter active. It was one or the other.
Mm-hmm.
Was shot and killed, saving his family.
Yes. Heartbreaking.
Yes, heartbreaking. And it's just not necessary. And so we call on our partners when they're in this area to make sure that we have enough people covering everything that we can think of that may be some kind of threat to those that are visiting our area.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And as we talk about the sick people who are in the area, I know that the jails, unfortunately, sometimes have become a replacement for hospital beds.
Yes.
For those who are sick. Talk about how we can help that situation.
So we're working on that tremendously because even when they're in our custody and they're sick, we have facilities and availability to be able to keep those in our facility, but sometimes they're by our medical staff that's contracted in to our agency. They may not have the personnel to have that 24-hour care that they need. So we end up having to send them out, which costs us the taxpayers money.
Yes.
To be able to have to send them out to have some 24-hour care. At the same time, that has to be paid for. So we're looking at how we can best manage that and have them in a position. I think when we move, it's going to be much better that we can have a position where we can house them on a longer term, not trying to just have them in a hospital. We actually waiting their time waiting for their time to be heard in court. But at the same time, it's sending them out is a strain on our manpower as well as the taxpayers' dollars.
Absolutely, absolutely. And just heartbreaking that we don't have the kind of facilities that we once had
Yes.
to help those people who are clearly in need of assistance. When you see them in the streets and they're acting out, they're sick.
The mental illness part of that is real, and they should not be in jail waiting for their time in court because they're dealing with a mental illness condition, and it's a shame that we don't have the long-term facilities like we once had prior to them all being closed.
Yes.
And on the street, and so we have to temper justice with mercy and understand oftentimes that these are conditions that
Yes.
that they're dealing with. It's not them, and what we do is make sure that we are in a position through training for those of us, so those of my deputies who have to see about their safety and security, that they are highly trained in conflict resolutions and being able to understand how to treat them when they're acting out, or when they're having a moment where they're a mental illness.
Exactly. Now, one last thing that I want to talk about, and this one, it may be a little bit touchy, but officers who are terminated in one department
Mhm.
and then go to the department across the way and
Yeah.
get hired, and then they're terminated there, and then they go to the department down the street
Yes.
and get hired. How do we handle that in Wayne County?
So we have to know now. It's really law. It's law now that we must. Those departments must be able to, when we're asking, talk about how it is that whatever happened with them during that time in their agency, that we get the full understanding of what it is before we start to hire them. The wonderful thing about the sheriff's office, when you're going to, and this might be a little difficult to understand, but I'm gonna try to give it to you real simple. When you go to a police agency versus a sheriff's office, you're going in as an MCO certified officer in a police department, a regular police department, versus when you're coming into any sheriff's office, you have the ability to be able to put that person to work in a jail setting where they don't have to be MCOs, Michigan Coalition on Law Enforcement Standards, the part of that you must have when you're a police officer. You don't have to be that person in the sheriff's office. You can work in the jails, not being in a position where you're outside working, and whatever happened out there that had you to be fired or left before you were fired and you went to another agency. But the fact is, we can do that in the sheriff's office and still put people to work and not put them outside to work. And if there's some kind of situation where they got into something outside and they had to be fired or left before they were fired. So you should not, that's coming to an end, that leaving from one place in law enforcement and policing, police departments, where they're leaving and going to another agency. Those agencies have to let us know. It's law that they let us know any other agency where they may be going to. And once that agency calls, we must give them the exact reasons why they're no longer with those agencies that they left.
Okay, well, that's good news. So we won't have that kind of situation here in our area.
Yes.
And the last question, a while back, there was talk about putting a social worker or mental health professional with police officers or sheriffs when they went out on situations that appeared to call for that kind of care. Do we do that?
Well, police agencies do it. I know the Detroit Police Department does it. I just to one of the officers, one of the scout cars that respond to those type of situations. That the social worker that was with them and the two officers who are trained in those to be able to handle those situations as well. What we do in the sheriff's office, for instance, they're in 43 cities and townships has a police department in the county. So what we do is when they come to us in an unfortunate manner that they may have to come to us, that Our officers are trained through Detroit, through DWIN, Detroit
Mhm.
Wayne Integrated Health Network.
Yes.
They're trained in crisis intervention training. So now when we have to house them, our officers who work those floors know how to handle those conditions, just as the officers outside in the police departments, they know how to handle those conditions. We need to know how to handle them while they're in our custody because
Yes.
they be with us. So our officers are highly trained to be able to deal with those conditions, those conflicts that come up, those situations where they're acting out. We know how to deal with that. And that's the best thing we can do for them is make sure that our officers are highly trained while they're in our custody.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for that. It's almost time for us to, unfortunately, end. Time goes by fast. You have so much information.
We,
So the
we do.
last thing I'm going to talk about is Election Day is tomorrow, everyone.
Yes.
Our sheriff is on the ballot in
Yes.
Wayne County. So I can't tell you who to vote for. I can just tell you who the best person is. And
Thank
that would be our Sheriff Raphael Washington. And not he's a great sheriff, but I want to tell you something else about him. He can do all the hustles out there. Talk about hustle. Now, I'm just going, I just need to tell you.
I just watch a lot. I'm a fast learner. I just watch a lot and I try to work at it. I'm not the best, but I just try. I just try to
He's being modest, everyone. He was at County Commissioner Alicia Bell's picnic, and they were playing the music, and he was training the hustle to some folks. I said, "Look at him! Look at the sheriff. The sheriff dances too."
well, I look. That's what I'm out here for, to help people, right?
And you certainly did. And the last thing he does, this is something I wish I could still do. He's a roller skater.
I am.
He's a roller skater and a doggone good one. So
I do okay. I do okay. My knees are telling me now slow down a little bit, but I'm still out there moving. Yes.
all right, as long as you move, you'll be okay. But I just had to tell you about the hustle. The sheriff can dance, everybody. So if you're anywhere and you hear the music come on, you see the sheriff, you're going to see him on the dance floor teaching folks how to do the latest hustle.
Pretty funny, but you are right. You are right. You are all right. You're definitely on point. I like to just have fun. People often tell me, "Wow, Sheriff, you're different. You're a different sheriff." I just like to be out here having fun with the rest of the people. I want people to know that I'm just like them. I want to have fun. I want to treat people the right way. I want to protect and serve people. I'm regular, is what I say. I'm just a regular guy out here trying to take care of the people.
Trying to take care of the people. And so I'll give you the last word, Sheriff.
Sure. So August 6th, tomorrow, we're voting. And it's very important that we vote in our primary election. That's where you get to touch people like me, to people like your prosecutor, people like your treasurer, people that you're going to touch and talk to and need something done to help you. We are the people that are on the ballot now, because what's going to happen in November, I'm going to be back in November because I do have a Republican challenger that I'm going to get through that situation in November as well with your help. But you all will wrap around the building for the presidential election, and we should. But those are people that you probably will never have a one-on-one, very close-up interaction with. And we still go in record numbers to vote, as we should. But we should be doing that in the primary elections as well.
Absolutely.
Because again, you're going to see me every day. You're going to call me because I give my phone number out. So you're going to be looking for me to help you. And I can only do that if I'm in position to help you as your sheriff. And that's what I do every day. When people call, they need something, I help them because I told you I would be there for you. I have to get through this primary, and I know that I will with your help and with your vote, with your prayers. I'm going to continue to serve you because that's important to me.
Thank you so much, Sheriff. We appreciate you. We'll look forward to having you on again after you move into the new jail, and you can talk about that. But thank you so much for all you do. We appreciate you. You have a great election tomorrow, and I know you will. Thank you to the audience. We will see you again next Monday at 2 o'clock for the Community Bell Show. Vote tomorrow, Election Day. Sheriff Raphael Washington, Kathy Garrett for clerk. Please vote. Thank you so much. Have a great week.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to Community Bell with your host, former Wayne County Commissioner Edna Bell. This broadcast was brought to you by WVTC Radio Detroit. You can find us on Facebook, YouTube, our website, www.wvtcradio.com, or download our WVTC app from the Play Store for Android users and the App Store for iPhone users. If you've enjoyed this broadcast, tell a friend to tune in. We'll see you next Monday at 4 p.m. Eastern to the Community Bell Show, right here on WVTC Radio Detroit. You're listening to WVTC Gospel Radio Detroit, and we're flowing in the Spirit.